is Matt. We're reviewing the Week 15 Sunday slate. We might get to Sunday night and Monday night football previews, but this Sunday slate was pretty freaking crazy. We got a lot to talk about, and for some reason, Sammy's over there flexing about God knows what. He was right for the first time in forever, it seems like, and apparently that means for sunglasses and a jacket. But first, all those beautiful things: like, comment, subscribe, share the stream with your friends, send us your questions in the chat or things you want us to respond to, whatever you want. We will respond to it live. But apparently, we have to start with the Carolina Panthers because the Carolina Panthers just lost to the New Orleans Saints.
We can start with the game of the week.
You were in some context for those of you who are watching right now. Sammy was in here bragging about how the Carolina Panthers lost about 25 seconds ago and talking about, oh, I'm right about everything today. I'm right on so many fronts.
That's not what I said. I was right on multiple fronts.
You want to make this about yourself. You want to make this about yourself, so take the floor.
I said multiple.
Take the floor.
Fronts,
it's all about you.
everything.
Make it about yourself.
I'm not making it about myself. All I'm saying is that when there is a very strong chance for my public embarrassment, and that chance kind of, gets smaller, I say that's a chance for celebrating. Because now I can confidently say that even though today, we saw the Panthers choke, we also saw multiple other things. We saw a fantastic Broncos versus Packers game, right, gentlemen? We saw a fantastic Rams versus Lions game. That opening slate, including a tremendous choke job from the New England Patriots that we will get to in just a second. It's just a reason to be dressed nicely. It's a reason to, and you guys see the orange? Repping Miami as well, who's going to win their college football playoff game against Texas A&M this weekend. So the vibes are at an all-time high. I'm having Chinese food later. It's a great day to be a football fan, Matt. Can you not get behind this?
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard him. He's literally celebrating being less embarrassed than he normally is after every single Sunday. That's literally what Sammy is celebrating right now. It's literally what you literally said. That it's like, oh, the Panthers have less of a chance of being embarrassed because the Panthers lost today. That's literally what you said, and that's why you're celebrating. But there's things we have to discuss here that are more important than you being less embarrassed than you normally are. Okay, and that's injuries, fellas. We have a lot of very important injuries going on in the NFL, and we got to start with the most important one. It's to the face of the NFL. It's Patrick Mahomes. He has been diagnosed, per Adam Schefter, with a torn ACL. And again, to add basically injury to insult is what's happening here. The Kansas City Chiefs are eliminated from playoff contention, and Patrick Mahomes has a torn ACL. So, fellas, let's just talk about this right away. What do you make of Mahomes with the torn ACL and the Kansas City Chiefs being eliminated from the playoffs?
Go ahead, Joe, because I know you're a little not happy about this happening, but you're happy about the other thing happening. So you can go ahead and go first.
This is not what you want to see. This couldn't have come at a worse time. Obviously, the franchise is slightly in flux here. This is the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career they've been eliminated from playoff contention ever, realistically. So this is uncharted territory for them. We posted a video about how, Matt, you cooked up a great short about how I was saying that they're done, they're out, it's over. We were premature in that, but it's officially over. You are eliminated from the playoffs. People are trying to compare this to Tom Brady injury. That you can't compare it. That happened at the beginning of the year. This happened almost at the twilight of it. This puts his future into next season, especially early in the season, in doubt. And you look no further than how they constructed the offensive line. I mean, this is a bad offensive line. There are people in that comments on that video saying, oh, they have a running back. Their wide receiver core is fine. Travis Kelce will be fine. We just need to get a few extra pieces. If that's how you feel coming away from this Chargers game, Chiefs fans, I don't know how to tell you this, but go ahead, walk outside, take a deep breath of that Kansas City air, and then smack the shit out of yourself and come back to reality, because this team needs more than a couple of pieces to return to being what they should be. This wide receiver core is not good. Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy are really good. I think number 2 options in the NFL. They're not number 1s. You do not have a running back. I will repeat that. You do not have a good running game. Your offensive line was injured more than it was bad, but at the same time, it wasn't good when it was healthy. And Travis Kelce is out. So when you look at this, this is a rebuild. This is a, if you want to call it a tune-up, right? Like they have their quarterback. You're never going to a true rebuild when you have a franchise quarterback locked in like Patrick Mahomes, and he is locked in. Do I think that this puts his early season and how the Chiefs are going to look in doubt? Absolutely, I do. You need to figure out how to protect your franchise, and you have been skimming by on, timely play and the ball rolling your way for the last 2 years, 2.5 probably, and it finally, the clock ran out. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not excited that the Kansas City Chiefs are not in playoff contention. I am. However, it was that excitement is dampened. It is dampened because of the injury to Patrick Mahomes, and I will never ever come on this podcast and celebrate an injury to a player. It will not happen. I will not do it. We will not post anything about celebrating injury on this podcast ever. We are responsible, ethical human beings here. And although that I might absolutely hate Patrick Mahomes, I respect him, and I will never celebrate an injury.
Responsible and ethical. That's exactly what men like me, Matt, and Joe are. I will say this.
Yeah, definitely me and Joe.
I knew you'd say something, Matt. Anyway, I will say that this is very, very rough. Especially as someone being a huge Patrick Mahomes fan, seeing him go down like this. But I said this a couple of weeks ago. Matt cooked up a short on this as well. Shout out to you, Matt. I said the Kansas City Chiefs are average. Okay, they have been an average team. And they've been heightened because of the fact that they have an elite head coach, an elite defense coordinator, and an elite quarterback, right? They've been an average team since last year, but they got away with it. They got away with it game after game after game, week after week, right? And they got away with it. So the devil magic was so strong and profound that they somehow went to the Super Bowl. And then as soon as they faced an NFC opponent as strong as the Eagles, they got completely decked. It was not close. Now, granted, Patrick Mahomes didn't play well that game, but neither did the offensive line, neither did the receiving core. When so many things are going wrong, it's hard for you to not follow suit. Okay, it is. And I will say this, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been great this year. He definitely isn't to the level of what he used to be, which was a couple of years ago when he was an MVP of the league. But I'm not going to lie. I see the situation that Patrick Mahomes is in, and I can't really knock him too much for it. I mean, it's a year where, yes, he has struggled, but he's been the reason they've been in these games. Oh, yeah. The reason they've been even in these one-score games are because of Patrick Mahomes. He is the offense. He's their best rusher. He's the engine that makes the offense cook. And now that he's out, I mean, look, say goodbye to your season, obviously. But I mean, look, Joe saw it coming from pretty much the beginning. Me and Matt, we gave him the benefit of the doubt. But I mean, the signs were there. This is an average roster. The Chiefs missing a playoffs is odd because we haven't seen this in over a decade. It's going to feel weird, but I mean, this is what happens when you get complacent, with building your offensive line, when you get complacent with building your wide receiving core, when you don't get a solid running back, and all of a sudden the Chiefs defense isn't getting off the field on third down. You're not getting those lucky breaks from those officials. Things didn't come together, and because of that, Matt, the Chiefs are gone, and we're gonna get a new AFC champion this year for the first time in
it's about damn time, Sammy, that we get a new AFC champion. And I think every non-Chiefs fan is kind of excited that we're getting a non-Chiefs Super Bowl. It's just time. We're just ready for somebody new to make the Super Bowl. Obviously, the circumstances that you guys were talking about, Patrick Mahomes tearing his ACL, nobody's excited about that. I mean, nope. It is strictly from a NFL fan perspective. Patrick Mahomes is one of the funnest players to watch in the NFL, even if you don't think he's as good as he has been, even if you don't think he's the greatest quarterback of all time, like I know some people think think he is. Like, he's still one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch in the NFL. And the fact that we're not going to be able to see him the rest of the season does suck for the NFL. As far as Mahomes returning back from that ACL, I think he's going to be able to come back and be 100% by the time we reach next season. Now, because again, I think, right now it's December. You think September, the season will start. He's going to have 9 months to recover. Someone like Patrick Mahomes is going to go through all of the necessary steps to get himself back to 100% by the time next season starts. However, will he be the same quarterback that he was before the ACL injury is always a question that we have to ask when somebody has a major injury, because Patrick Mahomes does rely on, and you saw it earlier in this game at the very start of the game, his legs a lot. He relies on his legs, whether it to use them to get first downs or to use them to scramble and make plays with his arm down the football field. So again, this is going to be a huge injury for the Kansas City Chiefs and their future going forward. How does this change their offseason? Do they kind of use next year as like a not necessarily a punt year, because you can't really punt if Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are on your team, but again, you as like a sort of a rebuilding year to kind of get to where they want to get, be in the future. But again, Kansas City Chiefs, we're not going to see them in the playoffs this year. It's going to feel weird, but again, that leaves a whole giant opening for the entire AFC to see which one of them can take advantage. But fellas, I do want to talk about another major injury that we saw in one of these later slate games as well. There's actually two major injuries that I want to talk about in these later slate games, but the one that looks a lot more serious to me, just by my eye, Micah Parsons, who also took a weird step. You saw that knee kind of internally rotate on that left knee, and it looks like, to me, again, I'm not a freaking doctor, but we've watched enough football where it looks like, it kind of looks like a torn ACL to me as far as with Micah Parsons goes. And then the Green Bay Packers as well lose a tough football game on the road in Denver, where, I don't know about you guys, that's the greatest game I have ever seen Bo Nix play. Bo Nix was absolutely outstanding, throwing dimes down the field, whether it was deep down the field. He threw a ton of beautiful deep balls in this game. Intermediate was amazing. Short game was amazing. He was making plays with his legs all over the football field. That's the best game I've seen Bo Nix play, considering how good this Green Bay Packers defense as well. But again, biggest story of the game is Micah Parsons. So fellas, Micah Parsons injury, reactions to that, and then reactions to this Denver and Green Bay game as well.
It's brutal. It's brutal for the Packers defense. I mean, their pass rush this year was like one of the better ones in the entire NFL, and it was mainly because of Micah Parsons. I do want to say this regarding Micah Parsons. This guy never got a holding call. Never. And I think it's ridiculous. I saw multiple times in this game where Micah Parsons was getting held, and it's come to a point where it's like, what does he have to do? What does he have to do to get a fair shot to get at the QB? Right? The fact that he has over 10 sacks this year already. I mean, the fact that he has that number, given the amount of times he's been held the entire year, is ridiculous. And honestly, the NFL should be ashamed of themselves, because Micah Parsons we could be talking about Micah Parsons being close to Myles Garrett if they actually call the holding calls. That's what I'm seeing on the field right now. But I mean, it's such a shame because Micah Parsons, I mean, look, he's not the entire defense. I think there's a lot of great parts on this defense that still makes them a great defense, but the loss of him is going to be felt, no question. You're going to get Rashawn Gary isn't going to get as many open lanes to attack the QB anymore. They're going to primarily focus on him, and this secondary. I mean, like we look, Bo Nix. I want to give credit to Bo Nix. He completely shredded this Packers secondary, but man, they got this was a concern heading into the season, and it felt like they had it handled. But clearly, Keyshawn Nix and Carrington Valentine, they got cooked by Troy Franklin. They got cooked by Cortland Sutton, Lil Jordan Humphrey. I mean, they got absolutely dotted up. And Bo Nix, all right, man. All right, you got me. I said, predicting this game, that I trusted Jordan Love over Bo Nix. And screw me for that, because I should have stuck with my gut. Bo Nix absolutely cooked. And I have no choice but to give Bo Nix credit here. The Packers, I mean, with the Micah Parsons injury, I'm a little concerned about them. I mean, they become a little bit worse defensively. And look, I'm not gonna say that the offense can't continue to cook, but we have seen so much tape of the Packers offense struggling than we have of it being successful. And now with Micah Parsons going down, the defense, I would assume, is going to take a step back. And by the way, it's been confirmed. And by the way, like him being out for the season, like the Lions now, if they had won the game against the Rams, I would have given the Lions a better shot. But I still give them a good shot anyway. Like that's how I know it's weird because the Packers still swept the Lions, but man, who knows what can happen now with this Packers defense if with Michael Parsons being out. So shout out to the Broncos. They got it done. The defense didn't step up for them, and the offense did, which was something we needed to see for them to consider them legit contenders. I'm not stamping the Broncos as legit contenders after this game. I think they've earned it. I think Bo Nix has earned my respect. I think it's time to wake up and realize that the Broncos could very well be the favorite out of the AFC.
Yeah, absolutely. They could be. I think that, after this week, if you look at the two top defenses in the AFC, probably the NFL, when you look at the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans, both of those offenses look like they were clicking, which is a terrifying thought for all AFC opponents right now and playoff hopefuls. So, absolutely. But when you get to this Michael Parsons injury about 20-ish minutes ago, there was a source that confirmed to ESPN that is believed to be an ACL tear. Early initial belief is that it is an ACL tear. So 2 ACL tears, major stars in the NFL going down with soft tissue injuries, non-contact soft tissue injuries. And I think something's got to change. A lot of people blame the turf, the natural grass has a little bit of give to it in those situations. And, the weakest link whenever you have something like that happen is going to give. There's a lot of pressure. These guys put a lot of pressure on their joints. So these are things that, the NFL is going to take a serious look at soon, especially when you start to have major injuries to your stars. But, Christian Watson went down in this game too, with looking at the Packers. And so not only that, but when Christian Watson went down, this offense regressed, heavily regressed. So the Packers are in a really bad spot, and they continue to have these problems where the wide receivers can't stay healthy, the defense can't stay healthy, and you need to start looking at, sort of what to do. But when you get a Micah Parsons, he's had injury history. He's missed games because of injury in his career so far. And, you took a risk. It paid off most of the year. It's not paying off now. On the opposite side of that, the Denver Broncos, I mean, I had my hesitations with the offense. I called them legit contenders, but it's because I thought the defense could carry them. I did not think this offense could be good. I mean, they had looked mediocre all year. You get a playoff atmosphere game in Mile High, and Bo Nix made some great throws in this game. Great throws. Granted, there were some other throws that were spattered in there where you're like, that should have been a pick. That should have been a pick. There were a couple of those on the final drive. I saw them. They were there. But overall, this is the best game Bo Nix has ever played. We never saw this Bo Nix. We didn't think Bo Nix was capable of this in the NFL. Now, I would like to see it continue before I say he had one great game. But if this is the Denver Broncos team, I almost want to put the money on them going to the Super Bowl right now in the AFC. Because they have sole possession of the 1 seed. I don't think they're going to lose it. And at that point, everything goes through Denver. And that's a very tough place to play. If you've never been to Colorado, people, if you've never been to Colorado or spent any time at Mile High in Denver, let me tell you something. The air is thin. The entire state wants to suck all of the moisture out of your body. And it is cold in January. Believe that. That is a place that if you're not prepared to go in and play, you will not win.
It really sucks to live in Colorado. Speaking as someone who's lived in Colorado, and two, by the way, when I lived in Colorado, I was about 40 pounds overweight. So I would go for a walk and I would just be like, because the freaking air is just like you can't even breathe. It's just unbelievable to play in Colorado. So yeah, it's a major home field advantage. It's one of the biggest home field advantages in the NFL, and it looks like that's going to be the place that everybody has to go through in the AFC. Because like you mentioned, and we're probably going to talk about this in a couple minutes coming up, the team that was also fighting for that number 1 seed. The New England Patriots, they just lost today, so now the Broncos were already going to have a tiebreaker over them. So again, now they basically have a 2-game lead for that number 1 seed, and they obviously basically have the division already wrapped up in the AFC West. So yeah, it's gonna be tough going through Denver. But yeah, this was a really good back and forth game. This was a really good game to watch. Jordan Love also had some amazing plays in this game. Josh Jacobs going up and mossing somebody in the corner of the end zone. That was a hell of a play by Josh Jacobs. This was just a good football game to watch. It's 100% the opposite of how I thought this game was going to go. I thought this was going to be a defensive slugfest. I thought it was going to be 17-16, disgusting football game. But both of these offenses showed up, and both of these quarterbacks deserve credit, because especially on this show, we have been very critical of both of these quarterbacks. Jordan Love, especially you, Sammy, you've been very critical of Jordan Love, and I've been very critical of Bo Nix. Bo Nix has been the guy that I've been criticizing a lot, and Bo Nix showed the hell up today. Like I mentioned, I got to eat some crow today on Bo Nix. Bo Nix was absolutely spectacular. Again, like Joe said, let's see if he can continue this level of performance. I'm not convinced that we'll see this continue from him going forward, but against a defense the caliber of the Green Bay Packers, for Bo Nix to show up like he did today and almost essentially guarantee that the Denver Broncos are going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC, he deserves a hell of a lot of credit. Bo Nix played an absolutely outstanding football game today. But before we get to the team that I know Sammy kind of wants to talk about, because it's our team and we blew a giant lead today, I do want to talk about another very important injury in the game that was supposed to be the game of the weekend. It was a very, very good high-scoring shootout of the game, but Davante Adams goes down with a hamstring injury in this Los Angeles Rams 41-34 victory over the Detroit Lions. Again, we kind of predicted this game going the way it went. We saw it being a high-scoring affair. The Lions obviously got out to a really good start in the first half, and the Rams kind of just took over in that second half, started absolutely dominating the Detroit Lions. Lions kind of made it close a little bit at the end, but it looked like the Rams kind of controlled the entire second half. But again, probably the biggest story from this game is Davante Adams going down with the hamstring injury that he had been battling throughout the season. He'd been playing through it, but we saw it bite him on that deep ball late in the second half. And now who knows what Davante Adams' status is. So, fellas, takeaways from the Davante Adams injury and takeaways from the Rams' victory over the Lions.
I mean, I think that, we all kind of saw this shootout coming. It was a must-win game for Detroit. I think the Rams viewed it the same way for them as well. They're in a tight race for the number 1 seed as well as the division with the Seahawks. And so, this was exactly the game you wanted to see, though. This was a very entertaining game. I think that, any time you get to see Matthew Stafford go up against his old team, and the same thing for Jared Goff, it's worth watching. But, you're watching some of these key players, because no one has had quite the connection in the red zone that Davante Adams and Matthew Stafford had all year. So when you look at that injury, how much time is he out? And, this is a risk you run. Soft tissue injuries don't heal fast. They just don't. I mean, every doctor will tell you, right? Sometimes it's better just to break the bone. It really is. You just come back faster from it. You do a quick surgery and you're back, right? Like, it heals, it comes back. Sometimes it heals stronger. Not a big deal. But when you have a soft tissue injury, it can take months and months of time. And even then, its chance of re-injury is super high within the first year. So, you're talking about a hamstring injury. You're almost at this point, the Rams, you're looking at it like, we have to have the number 1 seed. We have to do that. And we have to let Davante Adams sit, because if you don't, you risk severe injury to a key component of your offense. And I understand, Davante Adams is a baller. He does not want to be on the sideline. I don't think that man, if you gave him a choice, he says he's going to play, right? Like, he knows that he is a vital thing to what they do in the red zone right now. And I think that that Sean McVay and that team need to understand that and hold him out. Now, that being said, the Rams are good enough to be able to do that. They are good enough to let him sit and sort of ride the pine, get healthy, rehab, and you don't need to rush him out there. You don't need to use him. Let him heal, let him rest, lock up the number 1 seed, get him some more rest going into the playoffs, and you'll get a healthy Davante for a Super Bowl run, which is the whole goal, if I'm not mistaken, for the Rams right now. Anyway, that's what they need to do. On the other side of this, the Detroit Lions are in a bad way. This team, it just seems like whatever they do, it's not enough week to week. The defense, which we thought would be this top 5 sort of defense in the league, it seems just doesn't show up when they face top tier opponents, and the offense, which we thought could be explosive, isn't as explosive as it could be when they need it to be, right? Like this team is built around a number one wide receiver in the league, is built around a number one running back in the league. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 running back in the NFL right now. No debate. There is no reason for this Detroit Lions team to be in a position where they may not make the playoffs. In fact, you could probably say they have a higher percentage of not making the playoffs than they do making it, because I know the Niners won, the Seahawks won, the Rams won, right? Like, that's the people you're fighting. The Packers won, the Bears won, you lost. Writing's on the wall now, man. Like, this is uncharted territory. They are where the Bills would have been if the Bills hadn't won the last 2 weeks. Those teams were on the same track. Lots of questions, had the talent, waiting for them to turn around. One did, one didn't. The Detroit Lions are going to go into the offseason, look at their roster, and have questions about what went wrong.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, man. The one team has Josh Allen, the other team has Jared Goff. Now, Jared Goff played well today, so I'm not going to blame Jared Goff for anything that happened today. But I do think like the swing is kind of because the Bills have the best QB in football right now. So
Detroit's got a better roster.
No. Well, I mean, Detroit. That's a great point. That's a great point.
Significantly better roster.
However, I mean,
they're better coached.
We've seen Josh Allen's greatness propel this Bills roster to heights that that shouldn't be realistic. Okay, I mean, I don't want to play the hypothetical switch QBs. I digress. But here's my thing. Here's my thing about the Lions, man. This defense is rough, and then in the second half, the offense kind of just shut down in the third quarter, in particular. 0 points put up, and then by the time the fourth quarter hit, the Rams kind of like held their distance, and they just chewed the clock out, and it was pretty much over. I will say this. I mean, there's still a shot. There's still a shot for the Lions to make to make the playoffs, but now the danger. I mean, the danger now becomes like right behind them. If the Panthers didn't like completely fall apart in that fourth quarter, we could be talking about the Panthers and the Lions having the exact same record, which to me is completely uncanny. But regardless of that, let's talk about Davante Adams for a second. I think the Rams are going to be just fine. I do. Here's my thing, though. Here's my thing. Well, my worry now is Puka, because if Puka's banged up, then now we have a serious problem, because I don't think they have. Look, outside of Puka and Davante Adams, I'm not going to trust Tutu Atwell and Colby Parkinson to really carry the load for him. Right?
Tutu made a sick catch today.
He did.
That shoestring catch was nice.
Yeah, his catch was crazy. His catch was crazy, but I'm not going to trust him to make 10 more of those in a game like Puka Nacua or Davante Adams can. Straight up, the Rams are going to have to like really calm down when it comes to the next couple of weeks. They have a short week this week going up against the Seattle Seahawks, who we could talk about in a little bit. But straight up, man, like the Rams they're 11-3, and unfortunately they play in the NFC. So there's no real breathing room now. And that game against the Seahawks this Thursday is probably the biggest game of the season, because it has division implications as well. So it's going to be interesting. Now for the Lions, I mean, this is a great roster, like top to bottom, a great roster. So the fact that they're 8-6 is almost uncanny, but at the exact same time, I mean, they lost two very good coordinators. And this was you kind of saw it coming. You kind of saw it coming, like the dropping off. You kind of saw it coming. You could have any casual, let's say, any casual can say, and sees the media and sees all the hype around Ben Johnson, right? Would have said, oh, well, that team's going to take a drop. Now we thought, well, they have an incredible roster, right? The OC that's coming in is a little bit experienced, right? We love the hire. of their defensive coordinator as well. And Dan Campbell, he'll bring it all together. Now, granted, the Lions are still good, but the standard is now higher. So the standard being 8-6, it's not good enough anymore. So it's look, I said a couple weeks ago that Jared Goff will take this team as far as it can go. And I do think that this game, he had a fantastic one. He had a fantastic game. And the fact that they lost this game, him throwing over 300 yards and three touchdowns, that's concerning because Jared Goff played the exact game you wanted, right? The offense was clicking. Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, Jahmyr Gibbs even. But it just, the defense now, no complimentary football. So the Lions are in trouble. The Lions are in trouble. And guys, I got to be honest, like these next couple of weeks, they're going to have to win out. They're going to have to hope and pray that they win out and go 11-6 because, and maybe that the Niners and Packers do like some sort of collapse, but that's unlikely given who's coaching the Niners because Kyle Shanahan's awesome. Like given the injuries, the Niners shouldn't be 10-4. And then on top of that, the Packers, I mean, look, the injury to Michael Parsons is brutal, but the offense looks like it's starting to cook now. And the defense, I expect the defense to drop off, but I don't know how much of a drop off we're going to get because that defense is still stacked without Michael Parsons.
No, the Lions are cooked, Sammy. The Lions are done. They're not making the playoffs. It's over. And you guys know me probably better than anybody in terms of Lions supporter.
Feels right now.
I've been the Lions guy for the last 4 years. Like that's been my role on any show, on any platform that I've been on. I've been the freaking Lions guy. Okay. And obviously before the season too, like you guys were talking about, I saw a lot of this coming. Like I was really nervous about the no coordinators. I was really nervous about the interior of the offensive line. Obviously the interior of the offensive line was solid today, considering the offense had a really solid day, and Jared Goff really can't perform unless the interior of the offensive line is good. So it was solid today, but just in general, this offense has been hit or miss a lot of the year. Again, when they face better defenses, they haven't been nearly as good. And then two, this defense, same as last year, this defense has gotten absolutely smoked by injuries, just consistently smoked year in and year out by injuries. And that's why we're seeing such a bad unit. Again, I think this defense would have a chance to compete if it weren't for all the injuries. It's just there's so many injuries. Terrion Arnold was out in that secondary. Obviously, he's going to be out for a while. Kirby Joseph, his cranky knee is acting up again. He wasn't playing today. Just tons of injuries on the defensive side of the football for the Detroit Lions, and they just can't overcome them. It's you score 34 points and you still get beat by a touchdown. That shows you how banged up and bad that Detroit Lions defense is right now. And again, like you guys talked about, the teams that are in front of them, I just don't see any slippage. Like I don't see the Bears slipping down the stretch despite a tough schedule. I don't see the Packers slipping despite the Micah Parsons injury, and I don't see I don't see the San Francisco 49ers slipping because they continue to have a very easy schedule. So yeah, I think the Lions are cooked. I don't see them making the playoffs. And as far as Devontae Adams goes, again, take your time to get healthy, come back. The Rams are going to be fine without you. Again, maybe that costs them the division, but I think the Rams are a good enough football team to go on the road and win playoff games as well. So I'm not too concerned with the Devontae Adams injury, assuming he can get back for the playoffs, but we just don't know how serious that injury is. And Joe, to your point about hamstring injuries, this is something that the NFL is investing millions of dollars to figure out because hamstring injuries have confused people through all sorts of medical circles, just figuring out how to get them fully back to 100%, how to diagnose how they even happen in the first place. Like hamstring injuries are just super confusing to a lot of medical professionals. So people have been trying to put a lot of money into research and we still can't just figure them out. So again, hopefully Devontae can get healthy by playoff time. But again, hamstring injury is so confusing that who knows if he will be. But Sammy, we've delayed long enough. We have to talk about it. It's the New England Patriots. They had a 21-0 lead, and they blew it to the Buffalo Bills. They blew it. There's nothing else that you can say about it. And I have to be, again, I got to be honest with you guys. I have to be honest with myself. I have to be honest with the audience, okay? Watching that football game, and again, I picked the Bills to win that game. So if you would have told me that the Bills beat us in a high-scoring game before the game, I would have said, yes, sounds about right. The Bills needed to win really badly. We were kind of due for a loss. We'd won 10 straight. But how it happened, we start off the game 21-0. Okay. The Bills look absolutely unstoppable, score 5 straight touchdowns. And to me, watching the game, my takeaway was it feels like the Pats still aren't ready. It feels like they're still just a little bit too young. They're not made for that moment yet. They need to take their lumps a little bit. They need to have, you know, a heartbreaking playoff loss this year, and then they'll come back next year ready to go. And it feels like the Buffalo Bills might be a team of destiny just based on how they finished or how they started that game, how Josh Allen turned it on and looked like easily. He looked like not even close the best quarterback in football today, the way he finished that football game. He was absolutely outstanding. And the first half of that football game for the Buffalo Bills is why Bills detractors will say, hey, this is why they can't win the Super Bowl. But the second half is why Bills fans and Bills believers will say, see, I told you they can win the Super Bowl because Josh Allen can win the Super Bowl with just about anybody. That's how talented of a quarterback and how talented of a football player he is. But fellas, takeaways. Our New England Patriots, Joe, blow a 21-0 lead. What do you guys think?
Hey man, I look, I want you to go first, Joe, but I feel like I should say first that I picked the Patriots to win this game. So I wasn't right about this game either. Okay. So I am, you know, I was wrong. However, I will say this. It was pretty amusing seeing the Patriots go up by that much, me being right for a little bit, and then you guys choking, and then me laughing at your choke. It was awesome. And you know what? Look, as someone who is very familiar with choking, it's crazy. It's crazy seeing the Patriots just do it. So like you just knew it was going to happen the moment the half started. It was just incredible. Now we can talk about so many variables in this game. We can talk about so many variables in this game. However, I want to talk about one. I want to talk about one variable that isn't necessarily being talked about. And that's how Drake May, I mean, yeah, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. He ran the ball pretty well, but I will say throwing the ball, he wasn't very impressive. Not very impressive whatsoever. 14 of 23, 155. This is an MVP candidate, Matt. This is a guy that's supposed to be up there with Matthew Stafford. I didn't see that today. I didn't see that one at all. And look, straight up, had it not been for TreVeyon Henderson's big rushing touchdown in the second half, that is a pitiful effort from the Patriots offense in that second half. An offense that really was going up against one of the worst rushing defenses in the entire NFL. And for whatever reason, they just couldn't move the ball down the field against them. And now granted, Sean McDermott has had a history of being able to adjust. Like he can adjust during some games. Now during the playoffs, it's different. I don't know what happens, but throughout the regular season, Sean McDermott has had a history of being able to adjust and being able to lock in on defense. He did that today against Drake May, and it showed. It definitely showed. Now, I don't know what else to really say about Josh Allen. He's the best QB in football. He's honestly, it's probably because he's going to be a dad very soon. I mean, he just absolutely like fathered these kids, and he reminded everybody who the dad is of the AFC East. He's been reminding everybody for years. And look, I don't know if the Bills are going to win this division still. I mean, they're still a shot. They're 10-4, but I mean, it's just gonna a tough ask. Like at 11-3, the New England Patriots, their final couple games, they're gonna need some help. They're gonna need some help from the Ravens next week. That's gonna be a difficult game. But then they face the Jets and Dolphins, and I mean, let's be clear here. It's the Jets and the Dolphins. Okay, so next week, in my opinion, on Sunday Night Football, huge implications, because if the Ravens can beat the Patriots at home, all of a sudden the division is up for grabs once again. Now, do I think it will happen? No, because the Patriots have a cupcake schedule. Look, man, it's a diabolical choke, but I will say, Patriots fans, calm down. This happens, okay? With a young QB, this is going to happen, all right? It's a overall relatively young team. These things are going to happen, okay? Just hope and pray that it doesn't happen come playoff time, because if it does, I will be there to rub more salt on that little wound of yours, okay? I don't think it'll happen, though. I don't think it'll happen, because I do think that this game, this was just Josh Allen's greatness, and I mean, a young QB like just faltering in the second half. I mean, it didn't happen last time, but it happened today, and it happens to the best of us, right, Joe? It happens, man. It happens.
I'm not giving this game to Josh Allen. This is a James Cook game. James Cook, when he goes for 100 or 100 plus scrimmage yards, they win. He had 107 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 1 receiving. I've been saying this 4 weeks now. The Buffalo Bills want to be effective, want to win football games. James Cook's the answer. Josh Allen's game does not look that much better than Drake May's. The only difference is 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. That's it. They don't look that much different. 14 to 23, 155, 6.7. 19 to 28, 193, 6.9. The only difference is that Drake May ran his touchdowns in. That's it. And we're going to talk about the one pick, right? It's a punt. That was a punt. At the worst case scenario, it's a punt.
Not a very ideal punt. I mean,
it was a pretty good punt.
We talking about it's inside the 10-yard line.
Not a very ideal punt, Matt. You don't want that. It was disastrous, and you know it. Okay, we don't.
That pick wasn't disastrous. That pick wasn't disastrous at all.
It was a third and long. Top tackle leader in Robert Spillane, and not having his top defensive tackle in Milton Williams hurt this defense. Now, the Buffalo Bills are a plus 93 in the second half. The Patriots knew this. They probably studied it. They probably knew it was going to happen. The Bills are going to make a run. Guess what? The Bills are now a plus 114 in the second half because they dropped 28 points on the Patriots. So this was coming out of the bye week. They wanted them to stay focused. And all you're going to hear from Vrabel in that locker room right now is, well, this is what happens when you don't stay focused. This is what happens when you think you've put a team down in the first half. We've seen that from the Patriots a little bit this year. We saw it again in the Giants game. They let the Giants back in a little bit in the second half. The offense didn't seem to be as clicking as much in the second half. They just kind of like we're up big. We're up 31 on them. What's it matter? They ain't going to come back. Well, guess what? The Buffalo Bills might share the colors of the New York Giants, but they're not the New York Giants, buddy. All right, that's the one true New York football team you're going up against there in Buffalo. All right, they're the only team that plays in the state of New York. Sammy, if you didn't know that, geographical lines, how they work.
Calling a team that's one true team in New York with 0 Super Bowls is kind of nuts. But
there's no other football team that plays in New York, so just saying. But yeah, no, this was, you could have foreseen this. This was something that we talked about previous to this game. When we previewed the game, we were like, yeah, the Buffalo Bills 100% can go in there and beat them. Absolutely, they can, because they're not a terrible football team. This is a very competitive Buffalo Bills team. However, the flaws exist as they are, right? We know the defense isn't great against the run. You know, they're a little better against the pass, especially when Joey Bosa is healthy, right? But, you know, you kind of saw the writing on the wall for this. It's still the division favors the Patriots. They own the tiebreakers right now. They're up in the division. I think they have common opponents tiebreaker as well. So the Bills have to win the division outright. So even if the Patriots lose to Baltimore next week, as long as they beat the Jets and the Dolphins, they win the division. That's just the way it's going to be. So I'm not really concerned about this from a divisional implication. I'm not really concerned about a playoff implication. But what I do want to talk about here right now is that the Buffalo Bills seem to be figuring out how to be effective and win football games. And that is through James Cook. I've been saying it for weeks. James Cook, that is the man who is going to help you win football games. Run the offense through James Cook, and good things will happen to you because it opens things up for Josh Allen. Having Dawson Knox out there, having James Cook out there, Dalton Kincaid out there, and then occasionally sprinkling into Khalil Shakir, that's how you win football games. The tight ends are the next best thing to anything they have in the offense outside of James Cook and Josh Allen. When you want to stop this game, you want to stop the Buffalo Bills from being effective, you have to stop James Cook. You have to live with the fact that their wide receivers may beat you one-on-one occasionally. But if you can stop James Cook, this Buffalo Bills offense will flounder. But that means the Buffalo Bills still have to go through James Cook. Does not matter. Live and die by James Cook, Buffalo. That's how you win football games. And this is a perfect use case of that tonight.
Hey, you want to know something? I don't want to talk about this fucking game anymore. I have no desire to talk about this fucking game anymore. I'm tired of talking about this fucking game. And also, by the way, the Vikings and Cowboys game has started. I don't really want to talk about that game either. I don't really give a single shit about it. And JJ McCarthy, it's 1 minute into the game. He's already thrown an interception, by the way. So I don't really want to talk about that either.
Let's be real clear. He's had one attempt. He's had one attempt, and it was a
Joe, talk your stuff to those.
It was tipped. It was tipped. Give him a little break. It was tipped, but
no grace here. Okay, it's a top 10 overall pick.
I want to make sure.
Oh boy,
this is Vocal Vikes hat. Really comfortable hat. I bought this hat. I wanted to wear it when I talk about this. The Minnesota Vikings fans are currently hoping that Joe Burrow becomes available and becomes a Minnesota Viking because what do you want in a pass-first offense? A quarterback who can competently throw the football, not someone who relies on a running game to be effective and make 22 throws a game on average. So when you have J.J. McCarthy under center and you consistently have this question about can he throw the ball 30 times on the field? No, he can't. Everyone last week after that win was all about JJ McCarthy. Oh, he looked great. They finally got a scheme in there for him. Well, the reason Kevin O'Connell didn't scheme up a run first game all year is because you don't have a really good running back core, right? Aaron Jones is competent, Alexander Madison's okay. At the end of the day, your team is built to throw the football. So he schemed up offenses for the quarterback who's been in the system for over a year. Granted, mental reps are important, but it doesn't make up for the time of the NFL offense. So, don't draft quarterbacks to a pass-heavy offense that can't throw the fucking football. That's probably the first thing I want to say. So now I've got that out of my system. I'm going to go ahead and take this hat off and put my Patriots hat back on.
Did they just fake the kick? What the heck?
Did they? Oh, they did.
What the heck?
Oh, they got it too. Wow. Okay. They especially with Brandon Aubrey, that's guaranteed 3 points. Good for them. Doing some little trickery. But yeah, Joe, by the way, I didn't know you got a Vocal Vike hat. That's kind of cool. Can we see the hat again?
Yeah. It's actually super comfortable, bro. It came, I pulled it out of the box. I put it on. It was like perfectly fitted for my hat already.
It's pretty cool.
Lifestyle, bro. If you guys don't know who Vocal Vike is, if you're on here watching stuff, highly recommend watching him, especially if you're a Vikings fan. I'll direct everyone to his channel. Good dude. That's Rap over there. Big fan of his. I just like to talk shit about JJ McCarthy because
he sucks, Joe.
He's there's some people who are just like, you can in any sport, you're just like, okay, he's just objectively not good. Like, we can make any excuse you want for him. He's just not good. And that's just how JJ McCarthy has looked so far. But real quick, I also wanted to address something that you talked about in the chat, Sammy, and I'm thankful that you brought it up. And I'm kind of redirecting some of my Patriots anger that should be at the Patriots at Joe here. But Joe, I fucking hate you. Okay. I hate you so goddamn much for making me waste time this preseason on fucking base shell Tootin versus Travion Henderson arguments. I hate you more than any other person in the goddamn world. I'm currently wasting energy on it again, and you're making me do it again because I'm trying to make you feel bad about yourself, and I hate you so much. I just wanted to let you know. I just wanted to let you know.
It's wasted time again, buddy.
Well, I'll waste some more. You're the worst person that I've ever met. All right. You're the worst person that I've ever met. Worst one ever. Okay.
You try to convince us some random running back was better than a national championship running back, man. This is unbelievable.
Freaking 750-yard touchdowns later. Now I got to come in here and justify my case. Anyways, speaking of things that were kind of crazy when you first saw them, but now they're not as crazy. The Phillip Rivers experiment in Indianapolis. He actually looked pretty solid today, fellas. He did not look bad. He had some old moments in this football game, but he did look pretty solid in this game. And despite a defeat to the Seattle Seahawks, which we all saw coming. But 18-16, and again, you got to give Phillip Rivers credit for coming off the off the couch after 4 years and performing decently against a really, really good defense. You got to give Shane Steichen credit for coming up with a game plan to kind of help Phillip Rivers out. Obviously, it was very run heavy, very quick pass heavy, and you got to give the defense credit as well. Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks did not score a touchdown in this game. They scored 18 points off 6 Jason Myers field goals, which to me, again, if I was somebody who had a lot of stake in the Seattle Seahawks winning the Super Super Bowl this year, or getting to the Super Bowl this year, not naming names, but I know somebody who does have a lot of stake in that. I'd be a little bit nervous because the Sam Darnold and the Seahawks offense have not looked good basically the last month and a half of football pretty consistently. They have not looked good. So again, the Seahawks come out with a victory, but over the 44-year-old Phillip Rivers led Indianapolis Colts. Fellas, what did you take away from this football game?
Simple. They need to run the ball more effectively in Seattle. I don't know what's happening. They also need to figure out what's going on with the offensive line. You got to remember, Sam Darnold took the fewest sacks in the first half of the season that we've seen in a hot minute. That offensive line was playing very well together. And now it seems that, they've kind of figured out how to attack it. They don't handle exotic blitzes well. They don't handle the blitz well realistically at all. I mean, we saw Zach Charbonnet absolutely whiff on a blitz pickup. Sam Darnold had him going to the right spot, and he just missed it. So, Sam Darnold is seeing the blitzes for what they are. He's calling out the protections, but it's almost like the offensive line, the communication there just isn't fast enough to pick up on some of these stunts and some of these exotic blitz looks that we've seen. So, and if you can pressure Sam Darnold and get him off his spot a little bit, and speed up his clock, he does have a tendency to be a little off target. Now, granted, he still was 22 of 36 in this game. He did 271 yards and 7.5 per. That's not terrible. He only took one sack, did really good at avoiding the sack. He took some unnecessary hits in this game, but, only rushing the ball 22 times, and 4 of those were Sam Darnold. You kind of look at this and you go, we need to figure out how to get our running backs more involved in the game plan, because if we can't figure out how to run the football come playoff time, turns out most teams that don't know how to do that or can't do it effectively don't make a deep run. So Seattle, I'm going to stick with you on this. I still believe in you. I still believe that this team is going to make a playoff run and could represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. But for the love of God, figure out how to run the football, please. Now, on the Colts side of this, great game plan, right? Feed Jonathan Taylor. They've had him 25 times, right? We're always effective running the football. This is a great defensive team. They're really good at defending the run, pretty good at defending the pass. Phillip Rivers only took 1 sack in this game, fellas. And I think it was pretty much the one he slipped on. Like he literally, like one back step at the top of his drop, put his foot down, and it just
so old on that play.
Found a hole in the ground.
Play, he looked really old.
Super old.
Oh, gosh, man. That was rough.
That was the 1 sack he took. So the offensive line held up well. They developed a quick game, a couple of reads, getting sped up. I think Phillip Rivers could keep this Indianapolis Colts team in the conversation for a playoff spot. I do. I think that, you kind of look at it. They don't have an easy schedule, but I mean, the competency we saw out there wasn't terrible. They get 2 home games, back-to-back home games with the 49ers and the Jaguars here before wrapping up at the Texans. So there's a chance, they could still get in there. And I would love to see, just the possibility. Could you imagine? Think about this, guys. Somehow, some way, we end up in a situation where Phillip Rivers goes up against Aaron Rodgers in some game. I want it so
disgusting.
Bad. It's just the old man bowl.
Why would anybody want that?
The Depends Bowl, you know what I mean? Something like that. The geriatric bowl. Oh, God. Just the average age of quarterback in that is like 43.
Bowl, bro, what the heck?
Like 90, combined age of like 90.
Jeez,
awesome.
I'm sorry, man. Look, Seattle, man, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves, man. I don't care that you won this game. You guys could have put up a single touchdown. You old man Rivers acquired the only touchdown in this game. Sam Darnold is in the prime of his career. And in a game against Phillip Rivers, he could not, at home, mind you, he could not muster up a single touchdown against the banged up, led by 44-year-old, 5 years on the couch Phillip Rivers. He was coaching a high school football team, and you let him, after 5 years, look, he's an all-time great, and I get that. That never really goes away, I suppose. Not on the field, but geez, Sam, have some shame. Have some pride, bro. They were going to lose, guys. They were about to lose. Like, I think people are like, oh yeah, they won the game. You guys were about to lose to old man Phillip Rivers. He was about to lead a game-winning drive for the first time in 5 years. Be ashamed. And while the Rams were closing out the Detroit Lions, the Seattle Seahawks were trying to close out and barely by the skin of their teeth beat Phillip Rivers at 44 years old. Am I overreacting? Maybe a little bit. But like it's just it makes me like feel not very confident in this Seahawks team. It really doesn't. How can I show any kind of confidence? Oh, congratulations. Your defense was able to stack the box and be able to stop Jonathan Taylor and keep Phillip Rivers, a man who is 44 years old. I forgot to add at bay. Congratulations. I am so proud of you. Look, man, I'll say this. Credit to the Colts defense, man. Credit to them. Joe, I agree with you. If this run game does not get going and Sam Darnold turns into Jet Sam Darnold, not only look, if there's one team I'm terrified faces off against the Panthers come playoff time, it is the Seahawks. Because I do not trust the Seahawks against these Panthers team. I do. If that happens, I will actually panic. Like the panic button is being pounded hard and swiftly.
Pounded
okay,
hard.
I cannot
pounded
I
hard
cannot
and swiftly.
stand that, man.
I mean, that's
Absolutely
two now.
not.
That's 2 times
What?
now.
What I say?
That's 2.
You had pounded hard.
Dude,
you know
Hold
how
on.
to
What did I
choke.
say before?
You know how.
No,
to
you
choke.
were bragging about how much you know about choking. That was crazy.
Wait,
dog.
I said that? No,
That
I
was
didn't.
unbelievable.
I didn't
Yeah,
say that.
that was.
I said choking.
You did.
No,
Yeah, you were like,
yeah, because
you're like, trust me, I know a lot about choking.
I know a lot about choking.
Look, that was. I got nothing for that. I can't believe I said
You can't, bro.
I had Matt
understand-
dying over there.
I understood what you meant, but man, that was crazy.
I was talking about my
absolutely
QB.
insane.
Get your heads out of the gutter. What is wrong with y'all?
I mean, you could have been talking about your team all you want, but that was still crazy nonetheless. But Sammy, to your point about you would be nervous if the Panthers played the Seahawks, go check out the short that we just put out. It was in our Panthers video. I literally just put it out on Instagram as well while you were talking. And it was Sammy has a lot on the line if the Panthers were to beat any team in a playoff game, especially the Seattle Seahawks. So yeah, go like that short up and go send that to your friends because that's a good one. I had a lot of fun putting that together. But to your guys' point about these Indianapolis Colts, I was very impressed with the game plan, and Phillip Rivers did a lot better than I thought he would do, but I still don't think this is going to be a team that makes any real noise down the stretch, just considering how much it took for them to put together a competent game plan with 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm a little bit nervous about these Seahawks. You mentioned it, Joe. Not a very good run game. Defense looked pretty good today, but still, there's a little bit of concern there with 44-year-old Rivers coming in and doing at least a little bit of something against the defense that's supposed to be one of the league's best. And then as well, Sam Darnold, again, he just has not looked good. He has not looked consistent lately. And that's something that I'm very concerned about as well for the Seattle Seahawks. Still, I think the Seahawks are one of the 5 best teams in football. I think there's no question that they're one of the 5 best teams in football, but can they make a run down the stretch is going to be the question for the Seattle Seahawks. But there's a few other games we got to talk about, fellas. And did we want to talk more about the Panthers and the Saints? We kind of already talked about that one.
We don't got to talk about that. I mean,
we can skim by that. Yeah, we can kind of skim by that. Tyler Shuck, another impressive performance by Tyler Shuck. He's looked really, really good the last couple of weeks. Him and Chris Olave are developing a connection. Him and Devon Vele as well, forming a connection as well. So Tyler Shuck, hey, my boy, looking a little bit better here week by week. Maybe he's not a franchise quarterback, but he's certainly an NFL capable quarterback. He's proving that the last couple of games. But we have to talk about a game that we saw today. It was an ugly, ugly football game, especially for one of these teams. The Cincinnati Bengals put up 0 points. They lose 24-0 against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens go to 7-7, keeping their AFC North hopes alive. But fellas, Joe Burrow looked absolutely terrible in this game. He said it after the game himself. This was a terrible game for Joe Burrow. No touchdowns, 2 picks, about 200 yards passing. He just was out of sync the entire night. And Lamar Jackson, someone who I know somebody on this panel does not believe in very much, looked very, very good in this game, throwing, and he looked a lot better running as well. His legs looked a lot better this week as well, and he put on a pretty good performance as well in this game. So, fellas, Ravens and Bengals, what were your takeaways in this game?
Shame on you, Joe. I'm going to continue to say shame on you. All right, that's all I'll say. But I will say this: the Bengals need to shut everything down right now. Don't even think about sending Joe Burrow out there again. Okay, I understand. Oh, it's for the love of the game. Oh, it's for divisional pride. No, I don't care. You have already compromised your franchise by not building a proper offensive line around him. You've already compromised him, okay? Don't keep him compromised. It is time to shut him down, shut Jamar Chase down, embrace the high draft pick that guys should get, because quite frankly, you guys have earned it. You guys have earned it. Okay, you guys have. The roster construction this year, everybody, look, when I say that literally my 11-year-old, my 15-year-old little brother could have seen this season from the Bengals coming, I mean that with the bottom of my heart. Shout out to Joel Canan, brother. Love you. Look, man, I cannot stand a cheap franchise that decides let's go all in on our receivers and not build an offensive line around our franchise QB. That's gonna work out. It never has. It never will. And guess what? Look at Patrick Mahomes. Look what happened to him. Be grateful that didn't happen to Joe Burrow in this game. And to prevent that from happening, you need to shut it down. I could talk about the Ravens. I really could. But I'll be completely honest. I didn't think the Ravens looked all that impressive either. I will say that Lamar Jackson looked like he was back in his groove a little bit. He definitely played better he definitely has played better this week than in past weeks. But you could tell that Lamar Jackson isn't the same. He hasn't been the same since he's come back from that hamstring injury, okay? He has not. Now, I will say, pipe down on the disrespect on Lamar Jackson, but at the same time, it is very evident and clear that this hamstring injury is still lingering. It obviously is, and you see it with how he's running around and in his play, okay? Now, the good thing is Lamar Jackson didn't threw the ball only 12 times. So, I mean, that's, in my opinion, a little bit crazy and might actually add into Joe's point a little bit. But I mean, Lamar Jackson got it done. And that's what they need to do from here on out if they want to win this division. And we got you guys this Monday night.
Threw the ball 12 times, four sacks, 22 yards. And those sacks, to your point, we said it when we were watching the game. Those sacks were sacks that a healthy Lamar Jackson avoids, right? Yeah. Like he's able to run away from those, and he's able to get away from those a little bit. And we're not seeing that anymore, right? We're not seeing the mobile Lamar Jackson we've seen where he gets away from those sacks. And he's always had a really good knack for throwing the ball downfield. I think Lamar Jackson has always, had a decent long ball. And it's evident by his average, right? Like if you look at his average yards per attempt, he's always had a pretty good average yards per attempt. I think that, that's one of his few quarterback stats where he's usually towards the top. He's only had 2 seasons where he was 20th or worse. Everything else is 12th or better from an average yards per perspective. In fact, in 2024, he led the league. But, to my point, when you start to look at some of these other quarterback statistics that are not running the football, because that's a running back statistic, he's not that good. And so when you throw about 12 passes a game and one of them's picked, I'm going to lean towards the fact that you're a great athlete, but you're not a good quarterback. I'll say it again. He's had very few years where he's been a top 10 quarterback statistically from the core things that matter from a quarterback: completion percentage, touchdowns.
What position does he play, though, Joe? What position does he play?
Quarterback.
Okay, and he's been an MVP twice.
Since when are quarterbacks not allowed to run, by the way? That's part of the position. If you can run, it's a huge part of the position, and he's the greatest running quarterback of all time. I'm not taking that away
from him a little bit. I'm not taking that away from him at all, but at the end of the day, when you see mobile quarterbacks get contained and they don't have really good passing stats, i.e. the fact that if you look at Lamar Jackson as a playoff quarterback, right, where he meets good teams and things like that, he's got a terrible QBR, a terrible completion percentage, and he turns the ball over a lot. So I'm sorry, when your playoff experience is comparable to one Tony Romo, I don't really have anything else to say. That being said, hey, you won, right? This team should focus on running the football. They have to protect their asset. Lamar Jackson, if he's your franchise quarterback and everyone thinks he's so great, you have to protect him. If he's ailing, Derrick Henry running the football 11 times is not protecting your quarterback. The minute that Lamar Jackson had this hamstring injury, the minute that he started to show that he wasn't healthy, the first thing you should have done was said, hey, Derrick, you're getting 20 carries a game. That's the first thing you should have did. And you should have rode that until Lamar was healthy. Now, instead, you let Lamar go out there and throw more picks than he has touchdowns over the last 5 games. And you put yourself in this position. Derrick Henry is, when you give him the football, the best running back in the NFL. I will say that. When you feed him, when you feed Derrick Henry, there are very few people on this earth that can run that fast, hit that hard, and just bounce off tackles like he can. He's a freak. He's a freak of nature. And we've seen him throw grown-ass men into the sideline. So 11 carries, granted, and 100 yards, 9.1 per, just so we're clear. Just doesn't make sense to me.
You're muted.
No, am I?
Yeah, you were unmuted, and then you muted yourself to start talking, which is probably the best thing for it because I didn't want to hear it, but then I was nice enough to unmute you just so we could have this conversation.
Okay, well, you should have been muted that whole last spiel talking about Lamar Jackson's not a good quarterback. That's because that is the single worst take I have ever heard in my entire life.
He's finished
a 2-time
20th or worse in most quality quarterback statistics than he has in the top 10.
He plays the position, Joe. It doesn't matter what. Look, you can like try to slice this however you want. Look, the playoffs are its own entity. We've all known this. Matt, you agree? Joe, you agree that he in the playoffs has shrunk. We know this, okay? We know this. But guess what? Justin Herbert probably has better passing statistics than Lamar Jackson. Not a single person is going to put Justin Herbert over Lamar Jackson insanely. Nobody is going to do that, okay? So, yes, it's what bothers me.
Sammy, real quick. Can I jump in real quick?
We're talking about, bro.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes,
you know
please.
who else at this point in his career was a 2-time MVP and didn't run a single bit, but was also terrible in the playoffs? Peyton freaking Manning. Peyton Manning, early in his career, obviously not a running quarterback. He was one of the greatest passing quarterbacks of all time. At this point in his career, was considered an awful playoff quarterback. He was awful in the playoffs. Yet again, nobody considered him a bad or not a good quarterback, considering he was the greatest regular season quarterback we'd ever seen. Okay, Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks we have ever seen. Again, like Sammy mentioned, you can slice and dice the numbers. Again, he hasn't been always the most consistent passer. However, he has been a great passer on given seasons. Last season, he threw 41 touchdowns and 4 picks, and he is definitively, without debate, the greatest running quarterback we have ever seen. And again, if you can combine even being an average passer, which Lamar is a lot of the time, majority of the time, he is at least an average passer in the NFL, with being the greatest rushing quarterback of all time, that makes you, again, in my opinion, the greatest running quarterback with an average passer makes you, I don't know, a good quarterback at the very least, let alone one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks that we've ever seen in the history of the NFL. So again, yes, I do believe Lamar Jackson is a good, not just a great quarterback who has not yet had success in the regular season or postseason, who has been struggling this season because we've seen him a little bit banged up and he's come back a little bit rusty. However, I still believe this Baltimore Ravens team is good enough to win this division, despite losing a bad game to Pittsburgh last week. I still believe this Ravens team is going to win this division, and it will remain to be seen if Lamar Jackson can show up in the postseason. But God damn it, he's a good quarterback. What are we doing? Like, Lamar Jackson is a good freaking quarterback. I'm sorry, he just is. And I'm not going to let you respond. We're going to move right on because there's one more game that I want to talk about, and it is Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears absolutely dominating, decimating, and destroying the Cleveland Browns 31-3. And the story of this game, one of the stories is Myles Garrett now 1.5 sacks away from breaking the record, 1 sack away from tying the single season sack record. So we're probably going to see Myles Garrett break that record probably next week, but definitely sometime here in the near future. And another one of the biggest stories, Shedeur Sanders, absolutely horrendous performance by Shedeur Sanders against the Chicago Bears defense that ain't that great. Okay, the Chicago Bears, it's been getting better the last few weeks, but again, it's still not a defense that you look at and you're scared of. And Shedeur Sanders played an absolutely terrible football game today. Completion percentage was awful, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks, took 5 maybe not all 5 of them were unnecessary sacks, but some of them were definitely unnecessary sacks. The things that we've been concerned about with Shedeur Sanders all came to fruition today. He did not look good in a cold weather game against the Chicago Bears. So fellas, Shedeur Shedeur struggling, Myles Garrett sack record, and the Chicago Bears moving to 10-4. What'd you guys take away from this game?
First of all, let's talk about like the greatness of Myles Garrett first, because Myles Garrett is an all-time great already, but he's about to cement his legacy very, very soon. And I think next week it's going to happen. Next week, I think he breaks the record. My understanding is that next week he plays against the I believe he plays a division. It's not loading up for me quite yet. Here we go. He plays against Buffalo. So I think Buffalo's offensive line is going to like try their hardest. And Josh Allen is definitely not a difficult man to take down. However, if anybody can do it, it's Myles Garrett. I think next week it happens, fellas. He's an all-time great. But let's also talk about Shedeur Sanders. Last week, Shedeur Sanders was awesome. He was everything me and Matt saw in the kid coming out of college, and he outplayed Cam Ward in that game. We all saw it. Now, granted, he's facing a much worse defense than Cam Ward, and Cam Ward won the football game, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I will say this, though. This week, they faced a Bears defense that isn't that much better than the Titans. And, I mean, Shedeur looked awful. He looked awful by every sense of the word. I mean, 30.3 passer rating is crazy. 177 yards. I mean, 18 of 35 completion percentage. It was ugly. It was ugly. And some of these statistics were late in the game. Like we're being nice saying the stats that we're saying in this game. 3 interceptions. One of them, in my opinion, wasn't necessarily all his fault. Jerry Jeudy really had it in his hands, but the ball was kind of thrown behind him. It could have been placed better. I'm still going to give that interception to that interception. The fault is that the wide receiver, because he had it in his hands. That
was Jalen Johnson too. That was a hell of a play by Jalen Johnson.
An incredible play, by the way. So like it was that I'll let Shedeur slide with that one, but the other two, I mean, ugly interceptions. And I mean, it's not the first time he's thrown ugly interceptions. So I'm disappointed in Shedeur Sanders because I thought against his Bears team, I thought they could pull off the upset, but I mean, it was ugly. I mean, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. And that's partially because of the play of Shedeur Sanders. So look, man, if you want to convince the franchise that you're going to change the culture, it's very difficult with performances like these. I don't think Stefanski is the answer. I still don't think Stefanski is the answer. I don't care what anybody says. I think if you're going to get a new QB, you get a new head coach as well. But regardless, I think he should be fired. And yeah, the Bears are 10-4, and they have a vice grip on this division. I mean, next week is probably the biggest game of the entire season. They face off against the Packers. And look, man, this is the division. This is for the division, in my opinion. This is it. Like, if whoever wins this game wins the division. And let me tell you, man, like the demons are already starting to, like, they're stacking up right now. Like, are they gonna collapse? Are the Bears going to collapse in these next 3 games? Because they face difficult opponents. They face the Packers, they face the Niners, and they face the Lions. Are these the different Bears? Are the Bears back? Are they go back to 1985 again? Look, it remains to be seen. I called them frauds early this year. They didn't act like it today, and we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm excited for these next 3 weeks for the Bears. It's an exciting time to be a Chicago fan, I would imagine, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, they did what you want to do to protect a young quarterback against a very good pass rush. You run the football. DeAndre Swift and Kyle Managai combined for 29 carries and 131 yards. So that's how you protect a young quarterback against a really good defense or against a really good pass rush. Now, on the other side of that, when you don't establish a good run game and you don't rely on your run game to allow your young quarterback to do the things you want to do, you have a day like Shedeur Sanders. This is not Shedeur Sanders' fault. Shedeur's bad game was a poor game script and an inability to execute a running game on the Cleveland Browns, forcing the ball into a inexperienced quarterback to try to make something happen. That being said, Shedeur, you get a pass today. Today's game, not your fault. This is a poorly schemed game, poor game plan by Kevin Stefanski. And I know I came on here earlier on Friday night and said Stefanski needs to stay because the system's working with Shedeur. Stefanski, Congratulations. You've just bought your ticket out of town because what the hell were you thinking? 16 carries? And you could only, like, Quinshon Judkins, 1.8 per, had 12 carries, 1.8 per carry. That is terrible against a team that runs the football really, really well. And you had no reason to throw the football this much until you got into the second half, where then you had to, like, start to play catch up and hope that you would get something done. Guess what? Didn't happen. You put your young quarterback in a situation where he didn't have a chance in hell. You stacked the cards against him and you gave him zero help. So Shedeur Sanders, all due respect, this is not his fault. You did not set him up for success today. That's all I'm going to say. Now, on the Bears side of this game, let me be 100% clear. The Bears did not beat the Packers in Green Bay. I called them frauds. You get a chance to redeem yourselves because they're coming to Soldier Field. You got this W. The Packers lost to Denver. The division is yours for the taking again. And please, for the love of God, do not pull a Carolina Panthers and a Tampa Bay Buccaneers and try to figure out who does and doesn't want this damn thing. Please, for the love of God, Chicago, make Matt right. Matt needs a win. Needs a win. He needs one.
I get plenty of wins. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I want you to have this one specifically.
I'm about to win in fantasy football. I got plenty of opportunities to win, baby. You already.
Matt's a winner, man. Matt's in.
Yeah, but I want to have this one specifically. I think he wants.
If you want to check the
more.
pick standings too, you guys have both already given up on the pick standings. I'm about to take home this year's championship belt right here for the freaking pick standings. If you know what I mean, this championship belt right here is mine for the picks.
That's a home run derby belt. That's not coming to us regardless.
It's some geriatric home run derby people.
You want to bet if they're geriatric or not? Yeah, you saw that bomb on my story. You better not talk about geriatric nothing, all right? That swing is sweet, and you know it.
Okay, the youngest guy on the team, Matt.
The swing was pretty fire. It was perfect.
Swing, sweet dog. You better watch who you're talking to about baseball.
Matt's not okay, Matt's still like a little like he's up
not
there.
He beat up on a bunch.
I'm in my prime.
He's not unk, but he's certainly getting there. So, like, Joe,
my hairline would suggest unk. My athletic body type would suggest I'm in my prime. But either way, okay, this game for the Chicago Bears, I was really impressed from the Chicago Bears with this game. First of all, their defense, again, we talked about their defense being suspect throughout the season. Defense balled out, played outstanding. And Caleb Williams in this game, to me, this is the best game of Caleb Williams' young career. I thought Caleb Williams played absolutely outstanding in this game. The touchdown throw that he made to DJ Moore might be the best throw anybody's made all season. That was absolutely outstanding. Rolling to his right, basically out of bounds, jump throwing it to the back corner of the end zone to DJ Moore above and in between two defenders. Just an absolutely outstanding throw from Caleb Williams. That's why, again, I've talked about this before. I don't know if I'll ever give up on Caleb Williams being a superstar quarterback because he has that level of potential in him. And he shows flashes. This game, he was very efficient with his passes, 17 of 28. Obviously, the 242, the 2 touchdowns, the no picks. You see the ability he has with his legs, him getting outside the pocket. He's just a super talented football player. You combine that, like you mentioned, Joe, with this run game. That's one of the league's best, 33 carries, like you mentioned, 140 yards for Swift and Monungai. Swift had a crazy touchdown today as well. DeAndre Swift has looked really, really good in this Ben Johnson offense, and an offensive line that has done a great job protecting Caleb Williams all year. This Chicago Bears team, again, I was disappointed in the way the game finished last week for the Chicago Bears against the Green Bay Packers, but I still believe with that performance, again, Caleb Williams makes a better throw there at the end. Again, that's a tie football game. That's a game that goes into overtime, So again, the Chicago Bears can compete with anybody, in my opinion, in the NFC, and I still believe that they're a for real football team. And like I talked about with Shedeur Sanders, super disappointing performance. The first pick, he just didn't see the linebacker there, or he just didn't get it over the linebacker, and it got tipped up and intercepted. And the second pick, like you mentioned, Sammy, and like I talked about, Jalen Johnson just made a great play out. I'm not really blaming him. And the third pick was just a terrible pick. The unnecessary sacks as well. Joe, like you mentioned, they do have to establish the run game. Quinshon Judkins, 12 carries for 21 yards is not going to cut it for the Cleveland Browns, but Shedeur Sanders also has to play better despite the terrible circumstances that he was surrounded with in this game. But again, we talked about Sunday Night Football. It's going on right now. I think it's 7-7 right now at the end of the first quarter. So again, I don't really want to talk about that.
Line right now about
Dallas
score,
Dallas is on the 2-yard line. I don't really have any desire to talk about this game, so and I'm going to speed right past it. And I do want to talk a little bit about Monday Night Football. Actually, I don't really want to talk a little bit about Monday Night Football, but I'm guessing somebody else wants to talk a little bit about Monday Night Football. And it's the 7-6 Pittsburgh Steelers facing off against the 6-7. Yeah, here's all your freaking jokes, kids. 6-7, 6-7 Miami Dolphins in a big game that, especially for the Pittsburgh Steelers in terms of their playoff status. And apparently the Miami Dolphins are still alive for their playoff hopes are still alive. However, I have about a 0% faith margin that I think the Miami Dolphins will make the playoffs. So, fellas, especially Sammy, what do you expect from this Monday Night Football game between the Steelers and the Dolphins?
I guess I should go first since I'm the resident depressed Dolphin fan.
I guess so. Yeah.
I will say this. My sweet Tua Tagovailoa, you're playing in a very cold weather game, and unfortunately, I just can't trust you. I can't trust you one bit. However, you want to know who I do trust? I trust Devon Achane. My glorious King Devon Achane will lead us to victory this Monday. Okay, they will lead us to victory. I don't trust. I know, it's a cold game, and everybody's like laughing at the Dolphins because, oh, you don't win cold games. Well, we beat the Jets in the cold, so that's a cold game itself. And even though most people won't count that, I will. So I will say Tua Tagovailoa can compete. He can play in the cold. It's just how bad will he be? Like how bad will he be? Will he be like ugly, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna throw up bad? Or will he be, oh my goodness, they're still in the game and you just have to make a couple of throws and you might not make them, but we're gonna have to trust you anyway. Kind of bad. Okay, we gotta see, we gotta measure that up. Look, I'll be honest. This game is, even if we win it, the chances are very slim because of the fact that the Bills and the Texans are just on heaters right now, and yeah, like it's not going to happen. Playoffs won't happen for the Dolphins realistically. However, we do have a chance to ruin some seasons. We have a chance potentially to ruin the Patriots' home field advantage, which we've spoiled the Patriots before. Like, it's not new. Even when Tom Brady was there, we've spoiled them before, right? Before your precious
that's another cold weather game, by the way, Sammy, if you're worried about the cold weather.
Hey, man, as far as I'm concerned, Devon Achane completely, like, Devon Achane this year cancels that out. Okay, that's all I'll say. Look, we have a chance to spoil some seasons. We have a chance to really shake up the AFC playoff standings. But straight up this year, it's just another one of those years where we find a way to find ourselves in the middle of the NFL draft again and raise team morale only for the next year to be the exact same cycle. So if I'm being realistic, I don't expect much to change. I just enjoy the fact that Devon Achane is on my team. And the fact that he's been a top 5 back in the league this year, top 3 back even. So him being really good has made this season a lot more fun. And it sucks that we were so close in so many games. I'm looking at the games against Carolina. I'm looking at the games against the Chargers. We were so close in those games, and it just didn't work out for us. So if those games flip, who knows? But even against the Patriots this year, like, if that game flips, who knows? But hey, man, it is what it is. Like, this is the life of a Dolphins fan, potentially being 500 and getting the 18th overall pick, selecting a bust, and doing the same thing again. But we win this Monday. We win this Monday against the Steelers, nonetheless. We beat the Steelers because for vibes, Matt. That's it, for vibes.
Yeah, I kind of want to pick the Dolphins in this game. The Steelers' defense is terrible. The offense is probably just as bad. Devon Achane is the silver lining of this game. I think that, when you look at the Dolphins, and we were talking about some teams that could use a new running back, there might be some phone calls coming in the offseason for Devon Achane. Get some more draft capital there in Miami to speed up this rebuild, really just crush Sammy's soul. But no, I think Devon Achane wins this game for Miami. But there's a lot to play for here. Like I said, Miami's playoff hopes still alive, and Pittsburgh if they win this game, they essentially control their destiny to win the division. Even though Baltimore won today, Pittsburgh has the head-to-head against them. I think that this is a massive playoff implication game for both of these teams. Obviously, the Steelers have more of a possibility of making the playoffs than the Dolphins do, but but at the end of the day, do I trust Devon Achane or Kenneth Gainwell, more? I trust Devon Achane. Do I trust Tua Tagovailoa or Aaron Rodgers more? That's kind of a wash. But when it comes down to it, these defenses, Miami's doesn't have a great run defense, but their pass defense is pretty good. So if they can get ahead and sort of control this game, I do think Miami's got a shot. But I'm going to go with Pittsburgh in this game. I think this is the final nail in the coffin for the Dolphins' playoff hopes. They will be eliminated following this game. And it's just simply cold weather games are not Tua's thing, man. They're just not.
I'm actively rooting for the Dolphins in this game. First of all, because I have a Steelers agenda that I do not want them to make the playoffs, and I've been very vocal about how I do not think the Steelers are a good team. So I really do not want them to make the playoffs. So I'm actively rooting for the Dolphins here, and also I'm actively also rooting for Devon Achane because in a fantasy league that I'm in the playoffs in right now, I need him to drop about a 30 ball for me to move on to the finals. So I need Devon Achane. You've been carrying me all year, brother. You've been carrying me. Okay, you've been backpacking my trash ass team the entire year, and I need you to do it again. Okay. Obviously, you're not going to see this. Obviously, you're not going to do this. You're not going to see this. But I need you. Okay. I really just need you really bad. But as far as this game goes, I think the Dolphins could win this. Like you mentioned, Sammy, if they keep this game on the ground and they keep, Tua's pass attempt threshold to a limit. However, again, I just do not trust Tua Tagovailoa in cold weather games against decent football teams. And I guess the Steelers are a decent football team. I guess I have to give that to them at this point because they're 7-6. But
they're
I don't
so
want to.
Bad, man.
I don't want to. They're 7-6. You got to give them at least decent. I can't just come out here and say they're bad. But
they're like the Panthers.
I don't think they're good. There's that. I certainly don't think they're a good football team. If they were a good football team, they wouldn't be bottom 5 in the league in everything. Everything yards related. They're terrible in total yards, rush yards, and pass yards on the defense, and they're terrible in total yards, rush yards, and pass yards on the offense. So again, they've gotten a lot of turnovers on defense. They've gotten a lot of sacks on defense, and the offense has taken advantage of those. I just don't think they're a good football team, and I think Mike Tomlin is kind of past his Pittsburgh Steelers tenure. So I guess I'll pick the Dolphins. I guess I don't really care who wins this game. Honestly, I just really want. I do care. I want the Dolphins to win, but I don't think this game really matters in the grand scheme of things because I don't think either of these teams are capable of doing anything beyond a wild card round exit.
For the vibes, guys. Finish 10-7 for the vibes, please.
If you want, I mean, up to you. Go for it. Finish 10-7.
Not up to me, man.
The 8 seed.
Not up to me, actually. Actually, it's just not up to me.
Gotta love being born in Miami, man. Gotta love being born in Miami. You get it's a beautiful town, beautiful city, and then you get to deal with the Dolphins. So there you go. There's the trade-off. You get an amazing city to live in, but you got to deal with the Dolphins.
And
but that's gonna be it. And I guess the fraudulent Canes
that
shouldn't make the college football playoffs.
Wouldn't make
anyways.
the playoff.
No, I said they shouldn't make the playoff. That's what I said. I said they shouldn't make the playoff, and I still stick by that they shouldn't have made the college football playoff, and they're going to get trounced in round 1 of the college football playoff.
Beat us next time, Notre Dame. How about that? Beat us next time.
Well, you're about to get beat by A&M. But with that being said, we're going to wrap up this live here from Between the Uprights. Thank you guys so much for watching again. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things that you love. Again, go check out that Panthers short that I just put out. It's pretty entertaining. I had a lot of fun putting that one together. We had a lot of fun on that episode as well. Again, like I mentioned, like, comment, subscribe, and that'll be it for us. Peace.
Love you, John C.